A very warm welcome to Honorable Mr. Justice A.P. Shah, Chairman Law Commission of India, Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court, and the former Chancellor, National Law University Delhi. For me, it is very important to introduce him as the former Chancellor of NLU Delhi when he was the Chief Justice of the Delhi High Court. Mrs. Kiran Mehra, Kripaman, Chairman, UN Information Center for India and Bhutan, Dr. T.K. Jain, Librarian Institute of Economic Growth, New Delhi, and the President, Special Library Association, Asian Chapter, Professor Vivekanand, my very old dear friend, a chair professor on the IBR at Nalsar University of Hyderabad, Dr. R.K. Chadda, Additional Secretary, Parliament of India, Mr. Viplav Bakshi, Educational Consultant. I also welcome my Deputy Librarian who has placed everything in place, Dr. Priya Rai, who is the Organizing Secretary of the conference. A very warm welcome to all officers of the Society of Library Professionals, Special Library Association, Asian Chapter, United Nations Information Center of India and Bhutan, as well as the chair, co-chair, panel, library professionals and participants. Welcome dear students. We have vacations, but I'm sure some students must be here. Faculty and staff of the university, I see many of them sitting on the left side. All sponsors, especially, we have a lot of well-wishers, those who have sponsored this event. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The current intellectual property landscape in India is presenting moderate challenges for new age libraries. Increasing signification of intellectual property law generate a growing need to understand phenomenon and to discuss issues surrounding precarious aspects of IPR and copyright issues. But the biggest problem which we face in India is the other way. Other day we had a meeting with the HRD, the Honorable Chief Guest. We have almost 19 chairs on IPR in this country. And if you frankly ask me how many chairs are really functional, it will be anybody's guess, except 2 or 3 chairs. We have chair professors in IITs and IIMs. They have nothing to do with law at all. They are people from different disciplines just occupying the chair. There is no research, there is no program as far as IPR chair is concerned. The most vibrant chair which I can see around is managed by Professor Vivekanand, who is also with us this morning, the chair on IPR at the Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad, where some very meaningful work in terms of research, in terms of training is being done. In spite of the fact that IPR being a very important subject, I am reminded of my days when I was the Vice Chancellor of Nalsar, Hyderabad. Some students came to me and said, "Sir, now we'll be in third year, and third year we must study IPR because IPR is very important." And jokingly I said, "It's a wonderful idea, but can you do one thing for me?" And it really happened. And he said, "Sir, tell us, we'll do anything for you." I said, "Bring a teacher of IPR who can teach you." So now, fortunately, we have teachers, but still we have problems. When I go for selection committees, there are still areas in law where we do not get very good faculty. And we have been struggling in the law schools to get best of faculty now. And IPR is no exception to that. NLU Delhi by design, we decided when we recruited the new faculty, we have a very fine mix of very senior people. I was just sharing with Justice Shah that I have 4 ex-vice chancellors teaching at NLU Delhi. Professor Jai Govind, Professor M.P. Singh, Professor Sachidanand, and Professor Bakshi. He is also a distinguished professor with us. Professor A.K. Kaul was to join us, he went to America, otherwise there would have been 5. And apart from that, then a very young team of teachers, those who have come from good, very prestigious institutions like University of Delhi. They have come from, they have done their LLM from Oxford or Cambridge or Yale or LSE or NYU or Washington. And the strength of this, the university in narrating these things to you is NLU by design has chosen to be a law university, will get into research. And that's the area where we very seriously and deliberately by design, engaged with in all activities of the Law Commission of India. And I'm extremely proud to share with you, and I'm also thankful to the chief guest and Justice Shah that we have very, very close collaboration with the Law Commission of India. I being a part of the 19th Law Commission of India as a member, part-time member, and in all the research activities which the Law Commission is doing now after Justice Shah joined, Law Commission of India has really become a very, very vibrant body. Everybody is busy, everybody is doing some research, has taken up some project, and NLU especially is very, very actively involved with the Law Commission. I have my faculty sitting with me, Mirnar and Aparna, those who are doing a lot of good work. They were also involved with the Vargas Commission report and equally involved with the Law Commission of India. And that's, as I said, there are other very, very important projects like the Death Row Victim Project we have taken. Anup is sitting before me, which is being talked about everywhere in the world. That is the kind of project. So we never bother whether we have been we have a sponsored research, whether the government of India or the government of Delhi or any agency in the government would provide us any funding. Many of the projects have been started with the initiative of the initiative, because we believe if you start a project, even if you make a small beginning, and if the project is good, the sponsors, there will be people, those will come forward and will always help you. I welcome you all once again, and I'm sure the deliberations will be good. I said in the beginning that I give you a very warm welcome, but it is important to say in Delhi around this time, because Delhi, you never know how long it is going to be cold normally. Otherwise, the other years it will be pleasant in this part of the month, but it's still going cold. We'll try to make it as warm as possible. We'll provide you best of facilities, best of whatever we can in the campus. And thank you very much for taking time and being with us. And I'm sure the deliberations will be great success. I thank you and welcome you all once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your support has always been an inspiration for us to move forward in such initiatives. I now request Vice Chancellor, sir, to present the conference volume to Honorable Justice A.P. Shah for release. We now request Dr. P.K. Jain to present the conference briefing.
Honorable Justice A.P. Shah, Chairman, Law Commission of India, former Chief Justice of Delhi High Court and former Chancellor, NULD. Professor Ranbir Singh, Vice Chancellor, National Law University. Mrs. Kiran Mehra Kripalman, Director, UN Information Center, India and Bhutan. Dignitaries on the dais, eminent speakers, professionals, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning and welcome to all of you. It is my pleasure to stand before you amongst the August gathering to event this two-day conference, Library and Information Professional Summit 2015 on National Conference on Transforming Dimensions of IPR, Challenges for New Age Libraries, jointly organized by the Society for Library Professionals, National Law University, United Nations Information Center for India and Bhutan, and Special Libraries Association Asian Chapter. It is also the matter of great pride that this is the fourth summit in this series of LIPS. I personally and on behalf of the SLA and SLP, I am extremely thankful to Professor Ranbir Singh, Vice Chancellor, National Law University, who has given us opportunity to organize this conference in this wonderful venue and provided all the infrastructure and support. We are extremely thankful to you, sir. We are also thankful to Honorable Justice A.P. Shah and Mrs. Kiran Mehra Kapilman for sharing their time and precious presence in this event. We are thankful to all other dignitaries who have spared their valuable time and arranged this event. The objective of this conference are to ensure that information professional awareness with the latest development in IPR and to promote best practices in the field of modern library and information science. Further, the objective is to increase the activities and role of the library and information professionals in the modern society and to bring together the library professionals, faculty, users and students at a common platform. In the 2 days, there will be 9 technical sessions and 2 panel discussions during the conference. The program includes keynote address by Professor V.C. Vivekanand, Ministry of HRD IP Chair Professor, Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad. The eminent speakers like Shriman Mohan Sharma, Additional District Judge, District Court Rohini, Honorable Mr. Justice Shri Ravindra Bhatt, Judge, Delhi High Court, Mr. Indranath Gupta, Professor Jaideep Sharma, Dr. R.K. Chadda, Dr. R.C. Gaud, Dr. R.K. Srivastav will deliver the lecture during the seminar. This time we have received about 60 papers which will be also presented during these 2 days. These papers have been published in a proceedings. Last but not the least, I would like to thank to ICSR, DRDO and all the sponsors and product vendors who provide support to us. I hope all the participants will be benefited from this conference. I am sure you will find this conference very useful and productive. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now request Mrs. Kiran Mehra Kapilman, Director of the United Nations Information Center for India and Bhutan, to deliver her address, please.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to all of you. Honorable Mr. Justice A.P. Shah, Chairman, Law Commission of India, Professor Dr. Ranbir Singh, Vice Chancellor, NLU, Dr. P.K. Jain, President, SLA Asian Chapter, Dr. Priya Rai, Organizing Secretary and Deputy Librarian, NLUD, and my colleague, Dr. Sharma, our Knowledge Management Expert at the UNIC. It is indeed my privilege to be part of the National Conference on Transforming Dimensions of IPR, Challenges for the New Age Libraries. We are delighted to be one of the collaborators of this conference, along with the National Law University, Society for Library Professionals, and Special Library Association, Asian Chapter. I would like to convey my sincere appreciation to NLU for joining hands with us and helping us to make this very timely venture possible. Intellectual property rights is not a term that is familiar to most people in India. The culture has generally been one of laxity, disregard for copyrights, and sometimes blatant theft of ideas. But in a changing world, where everything from pharmaceuticals to manufacturing is becoming increasingly dependent on information technology, issues of IPR, innovation and creativity must continue their shift from the peripheries to the center of the global economy. As Prime Minister Narendra Modi said at the Indian Science Congress 2015, for a safe, sustainable, prosperous future for India or global leadership in a knowledge and technology intensive world, we need to put science, technology, and innovation at the top of national priorities. The World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, is a specialized agency of the UN that promotes cooperation between states to create and strengthen IPR regimes. On April 26 every year, we celebrate World Intellectual Property Day to enable discussions around the importance of IPR and how they should be implemented. A good IPR regime promotes innovation by creating an economic incentive that encourages innovators and producers. However, it must also protect the interests of the consumers and society as a whole. It is achieving this balance that is crucial and often hotly contested. India's creativity and ingenuity is increasingly expressing itself in the fast-growing number of patents and trademarks being registered in the country. In 2013, India received about 43,000 patent applications, making it the 8th biggest recipient around the globe, with an average growth of 6% per year since 2010. India is also ramping up its efforts in the area of branding. About 200,800 trademark applications were filed in India in 2013, third behind China and the United States. In this context, we must ask ourselves how libraries, which have traditionally served to provide society with access to all of human knowledge, can continue to work as catalysts for the free flow of information between the owners of copyright and the users of information. Libraries have played an essential role throughout history as repositories of works that comprise the accumulated knowledge, cultural heritage, and collective memory of nations and peoples. In the 21st century, with the growth of information networks like internet, digital databases, social networking, and cloud computing, local realities are changing, and law and policy must keep up. Individual action that may have been perfectly legal before is today in some cases criminalized under IP law. Many IP laws focus more on simply protecting the owner's rights rather than balancing these with users' rights. The International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, IFLA, has submitted at the WIPO General Assembly that the current system of copyright limitations and exceptions for libraries is not fit for the digital age. The international library community believes that member states must include provisions in their national laws to address the realities of access to digital information. We must have an instrument that addresses the gaps in copyright provisions for libraries and archives to ensure that libraries have the legal certainty to undertake their activities in the global digital era. This conference aims to bring together people from diverse backgrounds focused around the theme of New Age libraries and intellectual property rights, including everything from cultural heritage preservation to plagiarism, from big data to massive open online courses, from e-publishing to IP security. Many of you present here are specialists in one or more of these fields, and for many of us, these are new ideas. But it is in grappling with these new ideas that we will together find the way forward to ensure that libraries can continue to provide free and open access to information for anyone with the thirst to learn. 2015 marks the 70th anniversary of the United Nations, and we at UNIC are commemorating with a year-long campaign called YOUNG at 70, Young at 70, with the UN as part of Young. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, during his recent trip to India, in fact just last week, said In this key year for our common future, India has a great deal to contribute and stands to benefit enormously. Cooperation to find a middle ground on issues of intellectual property is one of the many areas in which India can play a crucial role, further diversifying and strengthening its international contributions and thus its relationship with the United Nations. I am sure that the conference will be a wonderful success, judging already by the excellent volume presented earlier. And I wish you all the very best, and congratulations once again on organizing this very crucial conference. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Honorable Mr. Justice A.P. Shah, the Chairman of the Law Commission of India, to please deliver the keynote address.
Very good morning to Dr. Ranbir Singh, Ms. Kiran Mehra, Dr. P.K. Jain, Dr. P.R. Raj, and all the distinguished participants. It gives me great pleasure to be present at this 4th Library and Information Professional Summit 2015 on the topic of transforming dimensions of IPR, challenges for the new age libraries. Public libraries lay the foundation for a strong and robust society. They are important channels of communication in society. UNESCO stated in the Public Library Manifesto that public libraries act as the local gateway to knowledge and provides a basic condition for lifelong learning, independent decision making, and cultural development of individual and social groups. The manifesto further described them as a living force for education, culture, and information, and as an essential agent for the fostering of peace and spiritual welfare through the minds of men and women. Ladies and gentlemen, a developing country like India, which not only has a large rate of illiteracy, but also has an inequitable public education system, still we aspire to be a knowledge society. It is therefore required that all our resources must be as widely and conveniently spread across. Therefore, public libraries assume significance for those to whom these knowledge resources are least affordable and accessible. In India, public libraries have for last more than 2 centuries performed an important function of intellectual and educational upliftment. Even in the modern era, libraries continue to provide access to the mass of electronic material which is published across the world. It's not known exactly how many public libraries are there in India, but one estimate is that there are about 50 to 60,000 public libraries in India. However, despite such large numbers, the public library system in India is not up to the standards what you see in Western world. There are reasons for that. There are many contributory factors, and naturally one of the factors is the lack of adequate finances. It's the problem with almost all developing countries. But in spite of these adversities, we have some great libraries in the country. The country has produced some great library scientists like Mr. S.R. Ranganathan. He was a mathematician come librarian and was one of the pioneers of science of libraries. And then he articulated these 5 principles about the library science, and I would just mention the first one: the books are for use. He said that it is time to declare amnesty for books and free them from their chains. I was educated and brought up in a small town called Sholapur in state of Maharashtra. So there the General Public Library was actually our family donated for the library. I remember my school days that it was very difficult to get books, to bring books home from this library, though my family had paid some huge donation to that library in those times. Subsequently, this library was actually one of our teachers who was a very learned man. He took over the library and he changed the face of the library. He started persuading the people to read. I still remember, he is no more, but he used to come to Mumbai to buy books, and many times he would come to my residence and insist that he would leave some books with me so that I will read them and send them to the library to Sholapur afterwards. So therefore, all librarians must remember books are to be read. They are for use. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last 2 decades, or 3 decades rather, the world is changing radically. In 80s and 90s, we saw the digital revolution sweeping the world and the advent of internet. The growth of internet also brought within its fold several challenges, especially in respect of copyright, which we are going to discuss in this 2-day meet. The global community responded to these challenges by framing 2 treaties in 1996 called WIPO Copyright Treaty and WIPO Performance and Phonograms Treaty, which are together known as the Internet Treaties. The Copyright Amendment Act of 2012 introduced amendments to harmonize the Copyright Act 1957 with these 2 Internet Treaties. This question is really about the how far these amendments affect the functioning of the libraries in India. Section 52 of the Copyright Act provides the acts which will not cause an infringement, which are also known as fair use clauses. Certain amendments have been made to extend this provision in general context. To facilitate digitization of libraries, Clause N has been added to this section for enabling of storage of a digital copy of work if the library possesses a non-digital version. But according to me, the most challenging section is section 52(1)(o). That's the library exception. It says that the public libraries can make up to 3 copies of books not available for sale in India for their use by the library without such copying amounting to infringement. So 3 factors are relevant. One is library has to be a public library. It can make only 3 copies, up to 3 copies, and of a book which is not available in India. Now the word public libraries is not defined in any central law, but it is defined in some state law. But it's clear, even according to the many other laws in many other jurisdictions, that any library which is receiving a public fund from the government, from any other public source, is a public library. A digital library grant is given by the central government, so all these libraries are really public libraries. The word copy is also now defined to mean that this will also cover electronic copy. So it covers both. The use of libraries is no longer limited to archival uses only. Really the part which is problematic is not available for sale in India. So what is not available? There are books which are available for sale in India, which are costing say 3,000 rupees or 4,000 rupees. Are they really, can you say that they are available in India? That's a real issue. Mr. Prashant Iyengar, in his very elaborate article, he gave a very interesting example of a Harry Potter book. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was retailed in India in 2007 at a price of rupees 1,080. This price about 2.4% of India's per capita GDP. Take the same book sold in America, that is costing $35 in United States. That represents 0.0008 of per capita GDP in America. So just imagine that for Indians to buy a book, you go to any bookstall, you go, I mean, the books are so expensive. So really, for an average Indian, for a person who wants, I mean, any citizen who is really keen to enhance his knowledge, public libraries are the best source for him, which is affordable. And finally, I mean, Dr. Ranbir spoke about the great support given by the teachers in NLU for the Law Commission's projects. And some of the teachers are sitting here. I must acknowledge that they are a great, help in the Law Commission in several projects. But apart from that, I must concede that Law Commission of India library is such a disarray today. It is one of the worst libraries in the country, I would say. We have not updated the books after 2010. So it's really lying in shambles. So for the Law Commission, the source is the books from NLU and Dr. P.R. Raj. I mean, she's a great support. I mean, whenever we need a book or some material from the internet, she's always there to help. In fact, after my retirement, for last 4 years, she has been helping me in whenever I need some material for study. She would be always willing to help. So I'm very happy that she has taken the lead and organized this conference on the IPR challenges, and I wish the conference a great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. The figures that you just presented help us appreciate the importance of such initiatives in ensuring better access to information flow. I now request Dr. Priya Rai, Organizing Secretary and Deputy Librarian, to please present the vote of thanks.
Honorable Justice A.P. Shah, Chairman, Law Commission of India, Professor Ranbir Singh, Sir, Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Delhi, Mrs. Kiran Meher Kalpanman, Director, UN Information Center for India and Bhutan, Dr. P.K. Jain, Librarian, Institute of Economic Growth, President, SLA, Asia Chapter, Dr. R.K. Sharma, and distinguished guests and delegates, my fellow colleagues, my dear students, on behalf of Organizing Committee, it is my privilege and a pleasure to extend vote of thanks. I express a profound gratitude towards Honorable Justice A.P. Shah for sparing his invaluable time. Sir, your presence has raised this occasion. May I also take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Ranbir Singh, for the significance he has always accorded to this event and the guidance he has given to us at every step. Sir, your extensive support and guidance will steer the deliberations of the conference to achieve its objectives. Sir, it's your inspirations and wholehearted support that has nurtured this program at every stage and encouraged us to move ahead and organize such a conference. I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to Mrs. Kiran Meher Kalpanman, Director, UN Information Center for India and Bhutan, for all the support and for being a partner for the conference. Thank you, ma'am, for your invaluable contribution. I sincerely thank Dr. P.K. Jain, Dr. R.K. Sharma, sir, for all the encouragement, support, and guidance. I express my gratitude towards all the guests and delegates for gracing these occasions and their presence. This is a unique opportunity to come together and discuss and deliberate upon the issues and challenges in the field of IPR. We hope that the conference will look a closer look at realizing the shared vision for long life learning and understanding with new issues of IPR. I thank all the members of various committee, advisory committee, program committee, organizing committee, and special thanks to all my library colleagues and staff at NLU Delhi for the extensive support. We are thankful to the government sponsors, ICSSR, DRDO, CSIR, our corporate partners and sponsors, Messrs. Mohanlo House, Westlaw, LexisNexis, Walter Kluwer, Taylor and Francis, Reddy Drapio, OUP, CUP, Welkman, Bilwani Infotech, and I convey my thanks to all. I invite you for a tea arranged outside. Thank you so much.